Marek, Rudak, here we are, episode number 54,
Yes.
Heart for Excellence. And Mark, I was thinking just the other day, because so often we misconstrue excellence with perfection.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not what we're after here, because we would be very disappointed men, wouldn't we?
This is a very unperfection show.
Yeah. We're not after perfection, but we are after excellence, because it's an attitude of the heart.
Exactly. In fact, you want imperfection to get to excellence, because if you go for perfection, you probably going to get pretty disappointed pretty quickly.
You're going to fall short quickly.
So this is a treat, because this is our Father's Day special.
Yeah.
And we have none other than Mr. DadU himself, Mr. Jeff Springer of Suit Up Ministries.org.
Yeah, welcome, Jeff. And
Well, thanks, man.
I love your shirt.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was appropriate.
It is.
You know, staying with the theme.
And we do a heart warm-up.
Oh,
We do a heart warm-up because with Heart for Excellence, I think one of the greatest adversaries to a Heart for Excellence is just negativity or ungratefulness. And so a heart warm-up is when we just share something that we're grateful for and we appreciate. And I'll go first to give you guys a chance to think of what you're going to share.
Sure, go ahead.
So yesterday I had a client call me up. He says, Trevor, we should go golfing today. I just came up from California from visiting her daughter in the Navy. And I'm thinking, oh, but I have a lot of catch-up work to do to get ready for this week, because today is full of Heart for Excellence stuff. And I thought, you know what? He's been my longest client, like longest, years and years and years and years. I'm going. And I had such a great time. The weather was pristine yesterday.
Oh, man, it was not a normal...
It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a product human, yeah.
And I thought, you know, for the sake of great customer service, when a client calls you up and says we should go golf, I am obligated to go golf. No, really.
So you sacrifice.
I'm like,
You went to the cross.
I said, Chris, it's a great idea. Let's do it. As I'm looking at all the stuff I got to do. But you know what? I am so glad I did. I'm just grateful for Chris and my clients. I have I love my clients. Like we just, I don't know, we all become great friends. So I'm grateful for Chris and just clients that just have that relationship with me.
Awesome. So for me, you know, what I do is I do coaching. I focus on men improving their relationships. But I always felt like there's a technology aspect, not to replace the one-on-one relationship, but to develop these small habits that have big payoff. So long story short, I signed up for this thing called Founder Institute, where it's a very compressed program to help you bring a product to market. I was like, yes, I was pumped up, let's do it. But then early on, like my idea, it just, I don't know, I just didn't feel really good about it. There was a lot of negative feedback, and I was this close to dropping out. But then remember, last time I went to the meeting, I called out my wife to pray for me, and guess what? I got a new idea, and you know, I don't know where it's gonna go. But I have the next few at least I know what I'm going to do for the next foreseeable future. So anyway, so I'm just very thankful for having a loving wife, and two, for the power of prayer, because I believe that that's the only thing that's changed things around, because it definitely wasn't, you know, the thing between my ears.
Cool.
That's awesome. I mean, isn't it amazing that, do you know anybody that you know, that focuses on the things, the blessings, it's not positive. I mean, I think gratefulness, I think, is so parallel to living that life that represents Him. You know, and so, you know, I don't know how to narrow it down, but I turned 60 last Friday, and so on one hand,
what's your hair secret, Jeff?
It's not, you know, I don't use anything, so I just, you know, just blessed, I guess. So. But, you know, just reaching 60, you know, I could say that I'm 60, but I can also say, man, I've lived 60 years. I mean, some people don't get to live this long, you know. I mean, 60, I mean, so what a blessing it is. And then on my birthday, my wife and I renewed our vows right there in our house. I had our pastor come over, and my son was there, and my daughter was there, my 2 granddaughters. One of them was walking around the way it almost should be, and with making, interrupting the 10-minute or 15-minute, ceremony, and so I got hitched again to my beautiful wife, who I've been married to now for 38 years.
Outstanding.
So I'm just grateful for her that she chose me again.
Well, it's like an attitude of gratitude determines our altitude. Boy, I think we just added on to it. An attitude of gratitude determines our altitude. Good stuff, guys. We get to talk about a topic that's near and dear to our hearts, and we've all experienced fatherhood from different perspectives currently, because we're all in different stages, and our experiences with our own dads. A wide array of experiences there. Jeff, I'll tell you, probably the only thing I ever knew I wanted to be in my whole entire life was a dad. Career, sure, whatever, not a big deal to me. Working, whatever. A dad, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be that. And we're going to be talking about fatherhood on this podcast, like I said, for Father's Day, and hopefully this will encourage men. There's many different feelings that are associated with Father's Day, and I think I've experienced a good spectrum of that from when I was younger. And matter of fact, my daughter was born on Father's Day, and I will see her this weekend. This weekend is one of the few weekends, because I forget how many years it happens, where her birthday and Father's Day is the same day, just as when she was born. And I can start crying about it because I am just so pumped. We have a big whole weekend date planned. So I'm stoked. But I also know after a 20-year marriage, and I didn't have my daughters on Father's Day, that was painful. I also know I lost my dad about 3 years ago. So to not have my daughters or my dad on Father's Day sucked. But I want you to share a little bit, Jeff. I know you should, about your experience and why you're doing this. But if we can go back to when you were a young man, and one of the things that impacted you and cut your heart, that made you passionate about fatherhood, you shared about when you were younger. Can you pick it up from there and maybe a story?
You have this family that's intact, and when you're in elementary school, you get used to having your mom and dad there. Dad was there for everything, and there was normalcy
for you,
for me.
Yeah.
And when I grew up, it was more normal. I mean, there was less divorce.
Yeah.
And so when in the 7th grade, all of a sudden, one day my dad was there, but he wasn't living in the house anymore. And so what I knew as a child growing up, where there was a mother and a father in a one single home, now all of a sudden my world changed. Now it was every other weekend with Dad versus every night with Dad. And for a kid, for a boy, and I would see him every 2 weeks, and I praise God that Dad stayed in my life. He didn't divorce his kids. Things didn't work out with Mom, but at least became stayed active. But 2 weeks, I just remember I still have a sick feeling or an uneasy feeling in my stomach sometimes on Sunday evenings, because even as a 60-year-old man now, I remember what it felt like as a 12-year-old boy when my dad would bring me home, and I would run into the house, and the first thing I would do is run into my room, and I would turn all the lights on, and I would turn the radio on, the music, and because I didn't want to think about the fact that for the next 2 weeks I could, that was before cell phones and texting and email, and so it was a landline, and so chances of me even having a communication with him was rare
during that
week. And so that was for a young boy, 2 weeks was a long time without the.
Can you share how I think I remember you saying you were told your dad was going on vacation or had a business trip or he was going somewhere.
Yeah.
Was that, expand on that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I have to give my mom a lot of credit because she was the one that sat us down. And Dad would go, he was a businessman, so he would travel some, not every day, but not every week. But then there were 2 or 3, once or twice a month he would be gone for a couple of days. But for some reason, this kind of lingered, this trip. And I started asking Mom, when's Dad coming home? And it just seems things didn't just seem. I knew when he left. You don't really know, but or maybe you do know, and you just don't want to admit, that it's happening because even as a 7th grader, you do know, you are aware that maybe the relationship through mom and dad are maybe a little strained and so forth. And so this time when he left, it seemed a little bit different. And of course, as the days went on, I would ask my mom, when's Dad coming home? And so finally she sat us down and said, Dad's not coming home. And the next time I saw him was...
When you heard those words, like just pause there for a moment, but when you heard the words, Dad's not coming home, what were the feelings? Like, can you describe what feelings shot through you?
Yeah.
Can you recall?
I think I was, you're resilient when you're young, but I think there was some definitely numbness and just, I think it was like from going 0 to 60 to 60 to 0,
Yeah.
And it's funny, I felt more sadness for my dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I still had my sister and my mother, and he all of a sudden moved from this house to this apartment with no furniture.
I don't know what that's, okay, I do know what that's like.
So, and we would go to his house on the weekends, and, he would have cardboard table and and we were still living in the house and it's funny when I don't think I would think about it then, but now reflecting back, I remember that concern and sadness for him.
It's amazing. I don't think we really built this up, but you were blessed. You had a dad that loved you and that loves you. And you had a good relationship. You had as good as a son-dad relationship there is. And so when you get the news, man, the guy that you love, your dad, is leaving. He's going to be on his own. He's going to be by himself. Yeah, you're right. We don't have texting back then. We didn't have the cell phone. We didn't even have you could look at and talk to each other and see each other's images on the screen. Yeah. It was, pick up the line, that this big handheld thing's connected by a cord to a big box with a dial thing on it, right?
Yeah.
And you get the news, your dad's not coming home. You love your dad, and you feel sadness for him. How did that impact or affect your life? You said you were 7th grade. I mean, yeah, I get it. That's an impressionable age. That's when we do need our dads. We might not act like we need our dads, but we want our dads around, and we want our dads to affirm us and approve us.
Yeah.
And I know, Mark, you shared even a little bit how you really didn't get the affirmation from your dad.
Yeah.
Can you just briefly elaborate what that felt like, not getting the affirmation? You got a very different relationship from Jeff with his dad.
Yeah, so it's one thing that kind of came to my mind is that somebody told me that for when early on in your age, you don't even notice your dad, it's all about your mom. But there's like a certain age, I think it's like 14, 15, when all of a sudden you start looking to your dad as your role model. And the thing that happened with me, my dad passed when I was 10. And then what happened, my mom was remarried and we moved to the United States. But I just never had that close relationship with the dad. And because my stepdad never sat down and established a relationship, I always felt like a fifth wheel in a family. And because of that, I always felt like, hey, I need to get independent as soon as possible. Because, my mom and my stepdad had this perfect family and I don't really fit in. And so because of that, I looked to the world to approve me, to the accomplishment to approve me, because I never had that affirmation from a personal relationship with dad.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, we're going to kind of start winding this one down. We're going to do a second episode with you, okay? But if you can just talk a little bit of the pain or the sense of loss or how it affected you personally, not having your dad at home from 7th grade beyond, what that felt like, and can you elaborate on that?
Well, I think as I moved into my high school years and into college, and it made me more sensitive to others, more compassionate. Definitely in my adult life, towards those that I would meet that maybe were without a dad, made me more empathetic. I think it was, it was allowed me to bridge relationships with and maybe better understand my students as I later became a teacher and a coach and an administrator, and so it gave me a conversation.
So that's the empathetic part of how you've grown from and how you use that. But like if you were to go back to that stage of 7th through 12th grade, for example, are there any effects of when your dad left? Anything that hurt, that felt like, ow, this doesn't feel right, or how am I going to handle this?
Or maybe some kind of mistakes that can be traced to the fact that you're in that relationship.
Yeah, when you don't have the day-to-day, as you mentioned, the affirmation, I think probably you lose confidence in what and self-assurance, and maybe there comes a lot of humility with that, but at the same time, as a young boy, maybe I didn't move to the front, so to speak, because I didn't really have anybody to say you can do it.
So let's just ponder on that one for just a moment. What are you going to say, bud?
No, I was going to say that's why I joined the military, because I didn't have that confidence. I thought it's like, hey, if I get the uniform, I'll be just like those company guys on TV, because I didn't have that information.
Yeah, because boys need to hear from their dad that you're good enough.
Yeah,
and girls need to hear from their dad that they are valuable
and beautiful
and complete. That they're precious, they're gifts. So there's both genders need to hear from their dads important messages, and if it's not coming regularly or daily, then there's there can be develop a hole there, and
it's inevitable. Like I would just say, it's probably inevitable. There might be the odd or small percentage that can grow up without the affirmation of a dad and no effects.
Yeah,
water off the duck's
back. That's one
exception. But that would be the exception and not common at all. I would say the majority of us need the affirmation of our dad to create a sense of security, self-worth, confidence, all those things. And when we're in high school, when you have a bunch of guys, you guys been in a locker room, you trash talk each other, and it's not very edifying or building up, shall we say, right? In those years. And then we're questioning ourselves, am I good enough? Am I complete? And so it's easier to stay under the radar because I don't have the confidence, so I'll just stay there. And I think that's a danger. And this is why this topic, Jeff, is so important, and why and I'm so excited to kind of build a relationship with Suit Up Ministries and DadU, because we've got to coach dads up who need help, who want to encourage other dads. We've got to do this. So final thoughts for this episode.
Well, passivity is really kind of what you're, under the radar, and that's where men are.
Yeah.
We're under the radar. Where are we as men? Where are we as dads? That's the question. And the passivity becomes the enemy. And even if we act and we act wrong, at least we can correct that. We're participating. We're trying to adjust. We adjust. But if you're not doing anything, which is very evident in our roles sometimes as men, we take that back seat, where we should step up.
This has been a great conversation, gentlemen. I've enjoyed it. Kind of, I'll be honest, stirs up emotions in me of a wide spectrum because of the loss of my dad. To some extent, loss of my kids on Father's Day. And Mark, for you, having a dad that was broken and didn't connect with you hardly any. And then losing him at a young age. Jeff, for you, so different because so close to your dad, great relationship, and then losing him in the sense or through divorce. So in our next episode, let's talk about how we recover from these things and move forward and talk about healthy dadhood, if you will. Does that sound good, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, God bless you guys and talk to you soon.